Go live and then. All right, guys, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in. Another bright Friday afternoon. Wherever you're watching us, whichever part of the world you are in, thank you so much. And Karibu Sana, we're happy to have you. So this is Friday live chat every Friday. And we are happy that you are on board, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you are watching us from. So before we go further, let's just have our
of Kenya live stream and live chat. Do you have a question from any of the following areas? Land survey, valuation, building survey, land administration, engineering survey, estate agency, property management, and geospatial information management. Join the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya live stream and live chat every Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Right, you have heard yourself. That is official to identify that we have started officially the ISK live stream. How are you doing? I believe you're doing very well wherever you are, and I pray that may the good Lord continue blessing you. So today, as usual, we have a brand new topic with a new guest. And I believe that we are here to learn. And I believe that at the end of the day, you're going to walk away with something that is going to be very beneficial either today or tomorrow in your professional life. So as usual, my name is Franklin. I'm here right from the ISK Secretariat. I don't know where you are. You can just type on the comment section there, and please always ensure that you leave a comment or even invite a friend to invite a friend. Now, as usual, as you can see on the screen there, Bwana Solomon Karaoke is here with us and is ready to share some nuggets of wisdom with regards to drones and in general surveying and mapping. So ladies and gentlemen, gear up and let's start. Bwana Solomon Karaoke, how are you?
Thank you, Frank. How are you?
I'm good that you have joined us today. Thank you so much for honoring our invite. Karibu sana to the session.
Asante sana. I'm humbled.
Welcome. Perhaps you can just tell us what you have prepared for us, and please take it away from here, sir.
Thank you, Frank. Well, I'll start by telling you my names. My name is Solomon Karaoke. I'm a licensed remote pilot. I'm also a technician member of Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, and a managing director for a company called GA Technologies Limited. So today we'll be talking about the use of drones in surveying and mapping, and I'll be focusing more on how we can take advantage of this disruptive technology to be able to effectively solve some of the surveying challenges out there. So without wasting much time, I would like to thank the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya for this opportunity. I'm also humbled to be presenting alongside Mr. Franklin on this topic, considering that it is going to be a session whereby we'll be discussing and trying to see how surveying has evolved up to this juncture, whereby we are enjoying the use of UAS. It is also with deep sorrow that I want to acknowledge the passing on of a senior surveyor, Patrick Nkoko. Tunawaombea amani, familia, and the big community of surveyors. I'm also delighted to note that there has been ongoing elections for the chapter in ISK, whereby we have a new LS chairman. sorry for that. So without now wasting much time, I want to go straight to the presentation. Um, I would like to start this presentation by introducing some surveying, or rather some terminologies. Some terminologies in drones. And the first one will be UAV. In most cases, a person will confuse a UAV and a UAS. But today I want to try and draw a line between the two items, whereby the UAV is just the aircraft without a pilot on board. It's called unmanned aerial vehicle. When someone mentions UAS, this person is talking about unmanned aerial system. And here, the word system stands for the UAV, stands for the ground-based controller, and stands for the communication between the two. Therefore, a UAV is a component in UAS. The other terminology that will come across is RPL. That stands for remote pilot license. Then we have another terminology abbreviated as VLOS. This is visual line of sight. We have EVLOS, extended visual line of sight. We also have BVLOS, beyond visual line of sight. I'll also be mentioning a terminology called VTOL, VTOL, that is vertical takeoff and landing. We have something else called RPS, remote pilot station. We also have another abbreviation, KCA, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. I will also be highlighting about GNSS. That stands for Global Navigation Satellite System. Well, I would like to start with what we call the known or the basic. UAS, in principle, will not come and change the tradition of surveying or the principle of surveying, but instead it comes in as a complementary tool. What do I mean by that? Those things that are done in conventional surveying, most of them will also feature in the drone surveying, and in most cases the issue of the layouts that is starting from the reconnaissance is mandatory. Then going to ground controls is very critical, and also observing those controls to get a value. So the surveying principle here is not being compromised, but we just trying to bring in methodologies that are able to assist us achieve results quicker and in a more timely manner. So therefore, I will not want to dwell mostly on the definition of surveying. I believe most of us are surveyors, and I believe here we have all kinds of surveyors, senior surveyors, young surveyors, and these are topics that we have interacted with. So I'll go straight to the next topic, which now involves the methods, or rather the surveying methods. We have the triangulation, we have the trilateration, we have the leveling, we have traversing, we have radiation, and these methods, you see them coming in handy in drone surveying, whereby we are supposed to establish ground control points so that we are able to correct our photographs. So I'll go to the next item. This one is just in a glimpse, trying to go back in time and see where surveying has come from. And I believe most of the senior surveyors will be excited to see some of these equipments, some of them which have been now taken to archives, some of them which are not commonly used. So we have on the extreme top left, we have a theodolite. That is an analog theodolite. In the middle on top, we have a cadastral chain. On the other side, we have a plane table. It was used to do topographical survey. Then we have the Abney level. as well as the surveying compass. So those are some of the equipments that the four surveyors were proud to use, and they really had a good time with them. And I'm so happy to also note that even in our daily activities, as we use the modern equipment, like I'm projecting there, you realize that a beacon that was installed 70 years ago, it is still intact, and it can also conform even with the modern surveying equipments. So in as far as the modern equipments are concerned, we have the automatic level. That is an improvement from the ABNY level. We have the digital level, whereby you can take measurements and actually save even the reduced levels, right, on board the digital level. We have the total station. We have the GNSS receiver, and we have the digital theodolite, which is an improvement of the analog theodolite. And recently, we have the drones, which have now joined the surveying equipment, modern surveying equipment family. So maybe this discussion will take a turn whereby we'll be focusing more on the drones and how they can assist the modern surveyor to solve some of the problems. Well, I would like to start with, in a nutshell, explaining to that person out there who maybe has not interacted with drones, what types of drones are there in the market. The first type of drone that we have in the market is what we call a multi-rotor drone. A multi-rotor drone uses propellers to be able to overcome gravity and go up and down and go forward or sideways. Therefore, it uses the multi-rotor system. Then we have on this slide the fixed wing drone. The fixed wing drone is usually hard catapulted. It is thrown, then it gains momentum and flies as maybe planned. Then we have another one that looks almost like a helicopter. It is a single rotor. And lastly, we have the hybrid version of a fixed wing, whereby it combines the propulsion type of multi-rotor and a fixed wing. Therefore, it is able to take off vertically and land vertically. That's why you're talking of vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL. So among examples, we have Joy UAV. They are manufacturers of VTOL drones. We also have DJI, who deal with multi-rotor. We have EB, who deal with fixed wing. Now to get into far much more details, and in this case, I'm focusing on the fixed wing drones. You can see some of the components of the fixed wing drone. There is the propeller, there is the battery, there is the landing gear, there are some indicator lights, there are some other components there, like the gimbal on the payload. That is the part now which is used for data collection. So basically, those are some of the main parts of a drone. Well, someone will ask, how does a drone manage to go on board? Or rather, how does a drone fly? The first principle is the propulsion system, whereby the drone is able to overcome gravity through the rotors and fly. Once it is on board air, there are movements that you need to make so that you're able to do, if it is mapping, you're able to follow a flight plan. If you're doing filming, you're able to move to a specific target, and therefore we'll be looking at some of the movements that a rotor drone makes. One of the movement is the pitch. I don't know whether you can see this diagram on the right, trying to show how the movements happen. A pitch is a forward and backward movement. A roll is a side, right or left movement. And the yaw mechanism is actually the turning of the drone. Maybe you want to face you want the nose to face on the left side. You just yaw left, turning on the spot. You turn on the spot, either right or left. That's what we call the yaw mechanism. Then they are also using the controller. You're able to control the speed of the drone using the forward stick or the right stick, or forward or backward. Then again, on board the drone, we have the GPS satellite, and we have GLONASS. So some of these have got both GPS and GLONASS. Sorry. That means they are multi-constellation, so they're able to track satellites wherever you're flying, and these assist mostly in holding position and also even tracking in the event of an accident. Then they use batteries that are called LiPo batteries. They are lithium polymer batteries, and these batteries are usually intelligent batteries, whereby whenever the drone is flying, you are able to get telemetry data on your controller and see the amount of charge, or rather you see how the charge depreciates from 100 maybe to the critical level of 30. We'll be looking at that later. So the intelligent batteries are what powers the drone. They are LiPo batteries, lithium polymer. Then again, someone will start imagining, well, how does these movements, the pitch, the roll, and the yaw happen? The drone in itself is the vehicle. We already agreed it is a UAV. Okay. Then, if it doesn't have a payload, if it does have a payload and a remote controller, it becomes now a UAS. It is a system. Okay. So whatever I've projected there is just like a summary of how the remote controller looks like, and you can see there are some buttons here. There's one little mode switch. You can switch from GPS. You can switch to ARTI mode. You can switch to sport mode. You can record a video. You can dial the gimbal. Gimbal is the lower part. Gimbal is the lower part where this is the gimbal, that holds in place the payload. The gimbal is what holds in place the payload. So you can adjust the camera angle using that dial. Then there is the thumbstick. We have a right thumbstick and a left thumbstick. These are the controls. The right thumbstick is what controls the pitching and the rolling. Pitching left or rather forward or back. Then the same stick, you're able to roll right or left. Then on the left side, we have the thumbstick, which is responsible for the upward and downward movement, and also yawing. Yawing, we said it is turning. Therefore, we also have some, there's a power button there. There are some LED lights which show the battery status. Then you have a very important button here called the return to home button. This button is employed whenever there is a possibility of maybe drone losing link, or whenever it has been attacked. That is the button that you employ, or whenever the pilot feels in distress and is not able to, or rather he feels he's not in charge of the aircraft. So those are some of the buttons and dials which are in the remote controller, which is responsible for flying the drone. That diagram tries to depict, in a nutshell, how the whole setup looks like. There is the remote pilot station. At this station is where the RC has custody, or rather, where the RC is, where the pilot is controlling the remote aircraft from. Then, in a more sophisticated setup, or rather when you're flying within an aerodrome, which we'll be talking about later, whereby you require some special clearance, there is also the air traffic control. Okay, so in this case, there are some missions whereby you'll be flying maybe within an aerodrome. Okay, there are some places whereby you'll be flying BVLOS. I say BVLOS means beyond visual line of sight. Therefore, in such scenario, it is critical that the remote pilot is able to communicate to ATC, air traffic controller, so that he is also informed about other people who are using the airspace, be it manned or unmanned. So that is now like a comprehensive setup of how the remotely piloted aircraft are controlled. Very well. We are saying that UAS is a disruptive technology across all spheres of life, and more so with a major contribution in surveying and mapping. So basically, this is just a highlight of what drones are capable of doing. People are able to do shipping and delivery using drones. People are able to do geographic mapping, and this is where we're going to have a lot of talk, because this is a technology that we're going to harness so that we're able to become more effective and we add value to the projects that we do for our clients. Then there's also the issue of disaster management. There is also another very critical application, that is precision agriculture. And in this case, I'm looking at drones with capacity of even carrying fertilizers, or rather carrying tanks that are able to have fertilizers for spraying, chemicals for like pesticides, whereby you can just spray using drones. I'm also looking at a more deeper analysis, whereby now photogrammetry comes in play here, whereby you can just fly using a multispectral camera as a payload and be able to capture crop data, which will be later on classified using the photogrammetric software to give analysis of crop health, areas where fertilizers are not sufficient, etc., etc. Then even recently we saw our police force employ drones in law enforcement. Yeah, they were trying to warn those people who are using panya routes to cross the barriers that were used during the COVID containment time. Then there is also the issue of change detection, and this is a very important tool for people like planners. Then there is monitoring developments, road network. Then there is also the issue of mass holes. This is a survey application whereby you're able to compute volume of materials of whatever magnitude without necessarily having to climb over like we used to do with the total station and the RTK. Lastly is the issue of asset and property inspection, marketing, whereby people are using drones to shoot very nice videos for marketing. There is also the issue of surveillance, border patrol. This is a very great tool for our security agents. Yeah. So that is it. Then here I'm just trying to show how Amazon, the biggest online or rather the biggest e-commerce site, is employing drones to do cargo delivery. Then we have a very nice example with our very own African country, Rwanda, through a company called Zipline. They are doing delivery of medicine using drones. Then there is also the application in as far as precision agriculture is concerned, whereby we said that drones are even able to carry a payload up to 20 kgs. Like that is a 20 kgs jerry can there, whereby you can just put your liquid fertilizer and be able to spray your farm. And in this case, it is so advantageous because you can be able to do it precisely without necessarily having to like tramp on the crops. Like whenever people are doing large scale farming and they are faced with the challenge of having to use a tractor to do the spraying, that means that all the turning areas, okay, where the tractor will be traversing through the land, all those crops have to be trampled on. Look at this advantage. The drone is going to be flying above the crops. The spraying will be precise. So that means there will be no wastage of fertilizers. Then if combined with a multispectral camera, it means that you are able to get specific. Yeah, you'll be only spraying the areas of crop where there is distress. You don't have to waste the whole. You don't have to waste chemicals and fertilizers to spray the whole place, whereas you only need to spray a specific place. So we can also look at the aspect of the multispectral camera and how it aids in doing targeted or precise agriculture. Then there is also these are applications that is about now the geographic mapping. Yeah, and here we have to look mostly on the payload. The payload here, in most cases, we use the RGB camera. We also use LiDAR, and we also use radar. Why we have to, or rather, why I have to insist more on the payload in as far as mapping is concerned, is because one, these cameras can only be used interchangeably. In this sense, if you deploy an RGB camera with a drone, it means that if there is vegetation, if there are trees, you can only be able to capture the canopies of the trees. That means that if you wanted a contour map, because you now captured the top of the tree, it means you'll not be able to articulate that level on the ground. And that's why now you have to be, during your reconnaissance, you have to be very clear on what you want. And also you have to be very certain to ensure that you are deploying the correct payload. LiDAR can be deployed in a forested area because it has capability of penetrating canopy. So you have to understand now the compromise that you have to do on one for you to be able to attain the other. However, as the technology evolves, we are finding payloads that are combining both, but I just want to make that clarification. So this is just the general application of UAS. And as you can see there is a policeman, and I believe what he's trying to do is maybe trying to follow someone who has stolen a car. Then on this right side, there is another drone, and you can see there is some fire behind the scene. So it means that this drone has been deployed with a very special camera called thermal camera, which is able to detect the amount of, or rather the scope of fire damage, okay, through thermal sensing. Then in the middle, we have now the agricultural drone. I already said it is used for spraying, very precise, no crop damaging during the spraying. Then there is also on the lower left, we have a drone that has got a cargo. So that's a pizza. You can imagine just calling these people called, are they called who can Pizza Inn? Yeah, you just give them a call, and at the balcony of your house, you hear a drone buzzing, and it drops you a pizza. It is revolutionary. Then on the lower right, there is a drone and a construction site. So I think that is project monitoring. So that is, or rather, those are some of the uses of drones. Then those are some of the byproducts after you have now done the drone data collection. Now here, these byproducts are dependent on what drone did you employ. If it is RGB, if it is LiDAR, and I've already explained that RGB is not able to give you the images under canopy. So it only gives you up the canopy level. So in case you're mapping a forested area, it is critical that you employ LiDAR to do your mapping. Why UAS are not an RTK and not a total station? One, let's say, for instance, you're surveying in a forested area, and a forest has got wild animals. It is only safe to fly a drone. Number two is the aspect of cost. A drone with the correct payload is able to save you a lot of cost. For example, what do I mean? Let's take 200 acres of land, and we take the most recent technique, that is employing a GNSS RTK. It can take maybe one surveyor 20 days surveying 10 acres of land per day. Let's look on the other side, how long a drone takes to fly 200 acres. With experience, these are 2 batteries or 3 batteries for that matter, and each battery gives you a flight time of around 20 minutes. So it means the 200 acres, using the RTK, which is the most recent equipment, it will take one surveyor 20 days. Okay. On the other side, when you deploy a proper drone with the correct payload, it will take you 60 minutes to collect that data that a surveyor with an RTK will take 20 days. Then again, we have the issue of the quality of aerial imaging. A surveyor using the ground technique is at times is prone to make omissions and errors. You might miss to capture some information, but with a drone, you get a still image of as the ground is. Then there is also easy to control or deployable. It is very easy to deploy a drone, and in this case, I'm trying to compare these and maybe deploying a manned aircraft for the same purpose. Yeah, a manned aircraft takes more time to deploy than the time taken to deploy a drone. Then again, there is also the issue of minimizes obvious danger and health risk. Let's take, for instance, if you're surveying a place that has got maybe chemicals, then or rather you're flying a place where the place is prone to danger. Yeah, with a drone, you'll be able to survey without necessarily being there remotely. That's why it's called a remote aircraft. The other advantage of using UAS is the in-depth and detailed data in place. I already said that you capture all the information as is, and during analysis, you only specify which information you need and which you don't need. Again, data capture is dependent on the payload. Then there's also the flexibility for quick inspection. That one goes without saying. Then there's also lastly the the aspect of you're able to even reach areas with hazards remotely using drones. As we all know, there is nothing that goes in this world with a lot of advantages, no matter how good it is, that lacks disadvantages. And sorry, thank you. And the first disadvantages or another disadvantage of having drones is the issue of privacy. And most of us who listen to the news will bear me witness that we had a drone that was flown in our deputy president premises. And I believe even if it were you, in as far as privacy is concerned, if you saw a drone flying into your compound, I don't believe you'll treat it with the, or rather you treat it lightly. You will be concerned. So the privacy of individuals is at stake here. Then is the issue of legislative uncertainty. This means that the authority who we mentioned earlier, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, have the mandate of deciding whether they're going to register a specific UAS owned by a specific person or not. They have, it is at their discretion. They can register or fail to register. Then there's also the issue of safety, which is very critical. And that's why the Kenya Civil Aviation Regulation on unmanned aircraft 2020 states categorically how the UAS shall be operated. We'll be looking into that in later slides. So safety is key. As we have said, if a spraying drone can carry a payload of 20 kilograms, if that drone lands in bad hands, it can carry explosives of the same magnitude. Therefore, that is a very serious disadvantage. These drones, again, are software operated, and there are things we call bugs. Yeah, there are software malfunctions that can happen. And what this means is that these drones that we'll be looking at their cost later on can come crashing if there is a slight software malfunction. It will just crash land, okay? It will not take commands. You will try to run the drone, it will not accept your command from the remote pilot station. Then there is also the vulnerability toward animals. At times, you'll be flying, like I was flying in Kilifi, and a hawk will think that its territory is invaded, and it will start following the drone, trying to attack it. Okay, so drones are prone to attack from wild animals. The other disadvantage is spying, and I believe most of us know about this aspect. We have had issues in those Arab countries where they keep on warring. Yeah, a spying drone is sent, comes, looks at the enemy forces, and the next minute you're hearing is a bomb strike. So they can also be used for that purpose. They can also be used for that purpose. Spying. Then the other issue is if your drone is targeted by the dark web, it can be easily hacked. They can assume controls, and you might lose your drone in that manner. So that is a disadvantage. Then the other one is drones are weather dependent. It means when it is raining, you cannot be able to fly a drone. Then the other one is knowledge and skill. We'll be talking about what the regulation says about a person who can fly a drone, and in this case, we'll be talking about we'll be looking at the remote pilot. What are the requirements to become a remote pilot? How is the training like? So if people are not trained, they cannot be able to operate drones. That is a disadvantage. The other one is data transfer speed is slow. I think that goes without saying. Very well, that is GeoID team trying to do a topographic mapping for around 1,000 acres in Kilifi. As you can see here, we have this is the drone, this is the remote controller, and behind is what we call a base combo, yeah, positioned on top of a control point. Okay. Now, surveyors, I think this is where we have to agree now. We are narrowing down to the actual drone methodology. Okay. And because I know here I have senior surveyors, we have junior surveyors, I am just going to present the best I can in as far as the procedure is concerned. But the procedure is the same as the conventional surveying that we conduct in our day-to-day life. And in this case, you have to be commissioned, of course, by a client. You have to be given a brief. Yeah, the client will tell you, I have 200 acres, I have 300 acres. I want to do master planning. I want to do development here and there. So please give or develop for me a quotation for that. Then number two, after you've agreed with the client that this is the cost implication and all that, you will go into acquiring the data, whereby you're going to do data search. That is, if there are maps which require to be bought, you buy from the Survey of Kenya. Then if there are other things that you need to get in as far as that region is concerned, it may be control points. You do that data search. After getting that, the next step, which is very critical, is to get KCA flying clearance. Okay, here I mean Kenya Civil Aviation flying clearance. Okay, you'll just do a letter to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority indicating that you want to fly on this date, and also showing your flight plan and the location you'll be flying, so that now they can check or rather do a background check and see whether that place is a security restricted zone. If not, they will give you clearance. If it is a security area, they have to seek further or rather specialized clearance. If maybe you'll be flying within an aerodrome, or you'll be flying near a police barracks, or rather an army barracks, or any other place that is deemed as a no-fly zone. So they will give you a letter stipulating the conditions that you must abide with. Then there is also the issue of now, after getting the clearance, you go and do something we call pre-marking, or a ground control point establishment. Okay, but in this case, they can be they are usually read with an RTK or a total station that is basically controlling. You ensure that you get the values of those GCPs. Also ensure they are pre-marked properly, so that you are able to see them on the other photos after you've conducted your flight. Then after that is the actual now deployment for the mission. In this case, there are things that you need to do. Some of these things are flight safety. You have to have a checklist. Then you have to do flight planning. This is done inside the RC, or rather the remote controller. You do flight planning of the area you want to cover, and of course do overlaps, yeah, for redundancy. Then there is also the awareness during the flight. Okay, the pilot in command and the observer must be vigilant. Yeah. Sorry, thank you. So the pilot in command and the observer must be vigilant during flight, because this way we said that drones can have bad attacks. So that is also a very critical step. Then after you've collected all the data, you'll be downloading that data, which is stored usually in an SD card on board the drone. Then you just extract it, take the photographs. Then you go back to the office and do post-processing. Okay. Post-processing here, you now want to get the various outputs. That is the other mosaic, that is the DSM, that is DTM, and any other product that is of importance. During processing as well, you can also be checking about, you can be looking at vegetation indices and those analyses that are agriculture based, or rather that are going to solve agricultural problems. Then lastly is now the aspect of reporting, depending with what mission you're conducting. Well. We say that flight safety is an intentional procedure in as far as drones are concerned. And what I mean by this is that you have to know your weather. We say that drones are weather dependent. Okay, so a drone cannot be flown when it is raining. Remember, the drone has got openings, especially where the motors are installed. Yeah, those openings have got cabling. Okay, remember the drone has got a payload. Okay, which in most cases is a camera. So when it rains, the camera can develop some haze. So even the output of your work will be compromised. You have also to ensure that the place where you're taking off is clear of any obstruction. And this is a standard practice, because if there are obstruction, when the drone is returning home, chances are, because of the winds, it might deviate from the home point and land maybe 5 meters or so from where it took off from. So you have to ensure that the area is clear. Then again, you have to adopt the highest point possible. This is because, remember, if you're mapping an area and you'll be flying autonomously, meaning that you not be responsible for controlling the drone. Okay, yeah. If the place is hilly, you have to check and occupy the highest point to avoid crashing. Okay, in this case, it means if you fly from a lower place, okay, and you had already set your flying height maybe at 80 meters, and there is a hill behind another hill that is higher than 80 meters, that drone, because it will be moving autonomously following the flight plan, it will crash on that hill, rendering your drone may be written off, or even injuring people in that case. So you have to ensure that during reconnaissance, you do proper pre-flight checks. Then there is also the manual inspection of props. That's standard practice. Then there is also the monitoring. As a trained remote pilot, you should be able to listen at your drone during takeoff, and with the assistance of the observer, you should be able to agree, yeah, whether it is safe to take off or not. Then there's also alert for your environment. Remember, drones have really advanced in tech, and they're also able to even detect manned aircraft. You should be woke of the environment and surroundings to ensure that you don't crash. Then there is also the battery condition. You cannot install a battery that is that has low power. You have to ensure that your firmware is up to date. Then you have to have a landing gear, or rather a landing pad, where the drone is going to come and land. You must have reflectors, yeah, just to show that there's an activity happening there. You have to have a fire extinguisher in the event there is fire. Then you have to have a first aid kit, and also the LiPo battery bag for transporting the batteries that we said the drones use. Some of these are just standard practices. We always go for the acronym "I'm safe." Okay, you have to be woke. You have to know yourself. You have to know whether you're ill. If you're under medication, don't fly. If you're stressed, don't fly. If you're under the influence of alcohol, don't fly. Actually, the law says that you should not fly or rather, you should not take alcohol 8 hours. If you know you'll be flying in the next 8 hours, don't take alcohol. You should not fly when you're fatigued, when you're tired. You need to be vigilant. Then you should not eat during takeoff and during flight. Well, then after that, now there is also the aspect of flight planning, and here we have a number of softwares There are so many in the market, different manufacturers. And as you can see, there's Pix4D, there's Drone Deploy, there's DJI Go, there's Emotion, there's Litchi, there's Mission Planner, MD Cockpit, UAV Toolbox, and all these softwares are from different manufacturers. Then there's also now the way the flight plan looks like. Okay, the controller has got a screen that is able to give you a background for a Google imagery. Then you pick corners of your desired property, or rather the plot that you want to fly. Then it is able to dictate the width of the flight plan. And this is a product of once you choose the height, it is able to give you all that without necessarily having to interfere or do calculations. The higher you fly, the lower the accuracy. That is the GSD, the ground sampling distance. The lower you fly, the higher the accuracy. Then remember here, we are not just flying drones for the sake of flying. We are flying drones with a specific objective. And the objective here is to come up with a map. And a map is useless if it is not accurate. Therefore, you have to ensure that you have well-established base station. Okay, when you're setting up the base that I showed in the previous slide, it has to be mounted properly. Okay, to ensure that it will not be shaken. Maybe during when the wind speed are high, you have to mount it over a ground station, over a ground point, mount it properly. Then you have to mark your GCPs very well. Then there's also the issue of monitoring the drone movement. Okay, you might maybe be seeing that the flight plan moves from south to west, but the drone all of a sudden start making an opposite movement, west to east. You should be warned, and you should just recall the drone home by pressing the button that we agreed on, the return to home button. Then you have to be vigilant on the battery status, because if the drone depletes the battery mid-air, the drone will come down crashing. So you have to be vigilant in as far as those things are concerned. Then you have to keep proper records of all your drone missions. Remember, this one is not a scenario whereby we say that we are on the ground. Drone accidents can occur because of a minor mistake. So keeping records of occurrences and activities, is very critical. And in the event of an accident, it is important to report to Kenya Civil Aviation so that it is put on record. Then after you have come from the field, you have conducted a successful mission, you have your photographs, you have your images, and these images, remember we said, because you're flying a survey grade drone, they are geotagged. At times, some drones are not survey grade. You'll be depending now on the post-processing, or other post-processing kinematic. Maybe you'll be combining an RTK from a different manufacturer and coming back here and doing post-processing kinematic. So you have to ensure that your memory card was installed during flight, although there are checks for that in the previous slides. So at this point now is where now you want to make sense out of these photographs that you have collected. And there are a number of softwares that can be used for this. We have the most common ones, the Pix4D, we have Agisoft, we have Delayer, we have 3D Site Scan. There are a number of them from different manufacturers. Therefore, you just choose the best for your work and employ it. For now, the issue of patching those photos, because there will be photos that will be a number of them, 1,000 photos, 200 photos, single photos for each section. Here is the point where now you bring those photos together to form a mosaic, okay? And that mosaic now shows as if it is one continuous photograph. And remember, this other mosaic has also got the 3D aspect in it. You're able to view the 3D aspect of the other mosaic by processing also DEM and DTM, so which later on give or rather yield contours or produce contours for that matter. So this is where now we say is the aspect whereby now the user or the professional, the surveyor, yeah, the GIS expert now sits with the images. If the task was to come up with a topographic map, there are softwares that are good at that. You sit down with the other mosaic. If you need to digitize, you digitize. If you need to generate contours, you generate contours. For those people who are keen on agriculture, at this point is where now they will employ different softwares to start doing the analysis. Okay, vegetation indices, areas where the crop is training, blah blah blah, and all that. So that is it for the image processing. That's just another mosaic. That was not one photograph in the initial stage. There were a series of photographs. Okay. Remember, when you're doing the flight planning there, you also have to dictate the overlaps, that is side lap and the forward lap, so that you're able to have a redundant, or rather, you're able to have redundancy in photo capture. There are no gaps. So that is just another mosaic. You can actually measure distance from this. Actually, this is the ground that you have brought on the screen. Okay. That is an output. Yeah. The task here was to do a topographic mapping. You can see the contours. You can see the trees were digitized. Hedges, houses were digitized from the other mosaic. Contours were created from the DEM, which is a product of post-processing. And that takes us now to what does the authority say about the use of manned aircraft in Kenya? What stake does the authority have in as far as this is concerned? So Kenya Civil Aviation is the body which is entitled to deal with air navigation services in Kenya. And through regulation that was done in 2020 for unmanned aircraft systems, they tried to stipulate the people or how the unmanned aircraft can be flown. That is the drone. The first thing that they emphasize is that you must be a trained remote pilot. For you to fly a drone, you must be a remote pilot, trained in an accredited unmanned aircraft training organization, UTO. You must be trained. That is a minimum for you to fly a drone in Kenya. They also talk, or rather the regulation also talks about who can own a drone. If you're over 18 years and above, you can own a drone. If you're a corporate body, you're a company. If it is a government body, national government or county government, they can own a drone. Then they also talk about the procedure for importing. Okay, for you to import a drone in Kenya, you must have clearance to import a drone from KCA. Okay. Someone will ask, why licensing and registration? And I would like to say that it is unfortunate that the sky is not forgiving. Okay, we are sharing the sky with manned aircraft with people on board. Okay, remember the drone is manned from the ground, minimum risk for the person who is flying it. What about those people? Those are the people who are using the airspace. Yeah. So that's why we need to have registration of drone and licensing. That is, I mean, the issue of now training the pilots, because they will be taught or they'll be taken through what air laws talks about, what the regulation talks about, and even some of the critical things that they need to understand about the drone and the airspace. Then there's also the UAV registration. As soon as you're able to, I don't know whether you're able to see my drone here. If you can see it, it has got a yellow sticker. Okay, that is the plate number 5 Yankee 00120 Alpha. So it has got a registration number. It is important to identify every drone in the Kenyan airspace or which has been brought in legally to ensure that there is accountability. All drones must be registered. Then how do we register the drone? Someone will ask. KCA, through their website, they have a portal whereby you're able to create a web page and get your login credentials, and you register your drone there. But there's a list of requirements. Then there is also the issue of now commercial operation. We started by saying that you must be a licensed remote pilot to fly a drone in Kenya. Well, you have attained your license. The next step is getting the drone. Okay. Once you buy the drone, you must register it again with Kenya Civil Aviation so that it is given a unique identifier. Number 3, I want to operate this drone. The question that you should ask yourself is, am I operating this drone for my personal use or to benefit commercially? Commercially, I mean you are doing a mission whereby there is a return in form of money or any other method of compensation. In that case, KCA through the regulation is very specific that you must have now what we call a remote aircraft operator certificate for that purpose. Okay, you must have an ROC, remote aircraft operator certificate, for you to be allowed in the country to conduct commercial drone missions. If you're flying it for your own purpose in your farm down in the countryside, well, you don't have to have an ROC. But so long as you're going to be deploying the drone commercially, an ROC is mandatory and is a minimum. Then let us look at the consequences of those people maybe who will not be so keen to follow the regulation, which I wish someone would, because it is easy. And we already said and agreed that the sky is an unforgiving medium. We must tread carefully. We already agreed on that. Why again do you have now to go all the way and have an issue of now flying illegally? And then if you are caught, it will attract maybe a fine not exceeding 2 million, or even a jail term not exceeding 3 years. Okay, drones are supposed to help surveyors, are supposed to help planners. They are supposed to help us revolutionize our various industries. So they should not be a pain to us. So let us just say the minimum is have a remote pilot license, import the drone and register it legally. Also, if you are you'll be flying commercially, ensure that you have an ROC. Then I think that with that you'll be able to move on and conduct drone missions without necessarily having to worry or watch your shoulder. So then GA Technology Solution, we have the permit, or rather we are permitted to import drones by Kenya Civil Aviation. We have remote pilots on board. We also have ROC, that means we can conduct drone missions. And maybe for those people who will ask, how much does a drone cost? I know that question will be coming. Here I've just given a range. Remember, there are categories of drones. I've just given 2. There are people who want to acquire a drone for them to be able to use the drone for filming and photography. That is very common nowadays in weddings, in events, in ceremonies. It's very common to hear a drone buzzing around. I hope next time you'll be watching for the registration number, because we said the sky is not forgiving. That guy who is flying the drone, he must know that there's a regulation that came out in 2020, and we have to really follow what it stipulates. So a photography and a filming drone cost within a range of 100,000 to 200,000, depending again with sophistication. And most importantly now is because this is a I'm hoping I'm speaking to more surveyors than those are the people who are doing filming and photography. We have what we call the surveying and mapping grade drones. Here they come in two categories, and we have copters. Okay, we have fixed wing hybrid, and we have even fixed wing. So the price for copters, which is a bit more reasonable and fair, and again we said we are looking at a UAS. We are not just looking at the UAV. A UAV alone will not be able to conduct a mission until a payload is brought on board. Therefore, it means that we have to look at the whole component, the base combo, the base station, for those drones that are capable of taking in a base combo. Then you're looking at the payload. It may be LiDAR, it may be an RGB camera, it may be a thermal camera, it may be a multispectral camera. Okay, so those drones range from 1.5 to 6 million. Again, I've said it is all dependent on a number of factors. Then we have what we call now fixed wing hybrid. Yeah, meaning it combines or it brings together the fixed wing and the copter. Okay, so it has the capacity now to take off vertically and land vertically, other than trying to catapult it by pushing it using your hand or using the catapult. Therefore, those types of drones range from 3 million to 10 million. And why these drones are this expensive is that you realize that what has been really a challenge for drones is the aspect of battery. And I will tell you that the best drone to fly, or rather the low-cost drone that we fly only lasts in the air for 20 or so minutes. Therefore, the more expensive the drone is, the better endurance it has. So then those are just various combinations. And I think that comes to the end of my presentation. Frank, I'm taking it back to you. Thank you so much for listening to me. Frank, can you hear me?
Okay, thank you so much, Solomon, for that. We really do appreciate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. I'm pretty sure that you've really learned something than just like the way I have done. Thank you, Bana Solomon. Now, dear viewers, wherever you're watching us from, whichever part you are of the globe, kindly share any comments you may be having or question. Thank you so much for those ones who've just streamed their comments in. Quite a couple of questions here and there, Bana Solomon. I believe now you can take a look at them and perhaps shed some light in regard with these questions. Now, perhaps I can start by Benson Budu, thank you so much. You're saying you're watching from Kikuyu. Martin Kibuchi, Nairobi. Maggie Wairimo, thank you. You're saying you're watching from Thika. And many, many more. And Athaila Spires. Robert, thank you so much. Henry Busige, thank you so much. You're saying you're watching from Uganda. Now, Henry again is saying, Henry Amote Busige is saying, okay, it's well noted, Henry. Thank you for that. Allow me just to go straight to questions that will come to the comments later, Solomon and dear viewers. There's a question from, if you can see, Felix Orina is asking, what is the ideal UAV sensor for thermal imaging?
Well, thank you, Felix Orina. What is the ideal UAV sensor for thermal imaging? Maybe, Bwana Felix, I'll start by saying that UAV is not a sensor. UAV is the vehicle, is the platform where the sensor is put on board. Okay, so any drone can carry a thermal imaging sensor. The only thing that matters now is the weight of the thermal imaging sensor. Even a small drone outer robotic, maybe Evo 2T, is a small drone that costs around 300,000, is able to carry the more imaging sensor. I believe I have answered your question.
Indeed, the good thing is live, and they'll just comment down there and say if it's okay or not. Now, thank you. Let me show another question from Fred Joshua. Fred Joshua, if you can see, thank you for that question. Now, Fred is asking which system connects the remote control and the vehicle, and how far apart the two operate efficiently.
Thank you, Frederick Joshua, Senior Surveyor Joshua. I think the communication between the UAV and the remote control is through the use of UHF radio frequency. And I just put an example like Phantom 4 RTK, which is a survey grade drone, is able to connect with a remote controller up to a range of around 7 kilometers. But again, it is dependent on the visual radio line of sight. If you're occupying, or rather the remote pilot is occupying a high ground, and remember the drone is flying high above, okay, you're able to get a clearance up to 7 kilometers. Okay, that is for just a basic, an entry level survey grade drone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. There's another question here, Solomon, from Chamulesire Bruno, I believe from Uganda. Chamusile Bruno is asking, if you can read from the screen there, have you tried applying geoid model in drone survey to get heights? What's your say on the accuracy of the heights? So those are two questions there.
I'll not comment on the geoid models, but I'll comment on the heights. If you're to compare let's say if you're to deploy the contemporary way of surveying, that is the ground surveying technique, and you also fly a drone, what is dependent mostly is your GCPs. What accuracies were your GCPs done with? What levels of accuracy did you create your ground control points? Okay. If the GCPs were created properly and accurately, even the image which will be rectified using those GCPs will be accurate to an extent whereby I'll talk of estimates. For horizontal, you'll be talking of 3 to 5 centimeters. For vertical, 5 to 10 centimeters. That is for topographical picking. Thank you. Yes, there's also another question. Frank, can I answer this? Daniel Aseve, thank you so much. Can drones be used to produce accurate maps to support registration in short cadastral survey? I would say, why not? Okay. Some of these maps that we have, the PIDs, the RIMs, they were created from aerial photographs. And here we said we are not changing the principle of surveying, okay? But instead, we're just escalating it now by using easy methods, like now the drones, to be able to conduct the same. So if the RIMs and PIDs that we currently use were as a product of photogrammetry using an aircraft, then even a drone is equal to the task. You can survey a small area and come up with a very accurate cadastral map. Thank you. Frank, over to you. Frank, are you there? It seems as if we have lost the moderator. I don't know. Frank?
Sorry for that. Sorry for that, Solomon.
Don't
I'm
worry.
back. Yes, you are responding to a question. Now, there's another question here from Daniel Asewe. Daniel is asking,
Yeah,
allow me to
I already
just
answered that.
bring it.
Sorry.
Oh,
I answered that.
okay, good. Good. There's another question, and the more comments that are coming on. But let me first move to questions, ladies and gentlemen. And there's another one from Surveyor Eric Chotara. As you can see, he's asking, Stan, is there a way that can link up an RTK drone to a base station so that the drone can work as a rover to get more accurate data?
Thank you, Frank. Those are just some of the setups that you can have. And as you can see, the first one, top of the list, there is a drone, there's a remote controller, and there's net RTK. That means you can combine a drone with a core station. Number two, you can combine the drone, RC, and a base station, what I was referring to as the base combo, okay? That you set over a ground position, a ground control point, and you fly the drone as an RTK, okay? Then there's also now using the third-party GNSS, okay, whereby you now make your base a portable course, okay, with coordinates, it is possible. Then you just fly your drone, and it assumes the roving. I mean, it becomes a rover, okay. Then lastly is whereby you now employ an offline data, whereby you just log static using your base station, third-party base station. You fly your drone and later on do PPK. So, Bwana Chotara, thank you. It is possible.
Another question there from Martin Mugabe asking, is it possible to use a drone at night?
Thank you, Bwana Martin. I would say it depends what you want to do with the drone. A drone, remember we said it is, rather the UAV is a vehicle. You can even carry a torch, okay? You can carry a torch and, try to illuminate the place that you're interested in. Let's say if you're looking to rescuing people, yeah, and you want to kind of track them in the forest, you'll be using a torch, okay, and illuminate in the bushes. So it is possible to use a drone at night, but depending what you want to do with it. For mapping, I believe it is not possible, but for other purposes, yes, it is possible.
Thank you. There's another question from Justus Tor, if I can project it there. Yes, Justus is asking, if I want to be a licensed pilot, which institution can I get training? And licensing, how much does it cost?
Well, thank you, Bwana Justus Tor. You can reach out to me, but for the record, we have 3 organizations in the country. There are only 3 organizations in the country where you can be trained. They are the ones that we refer to as the UTOs. There's Astro Area, there's Drone Space, there's Ken Drone, and basically those are the institutions that are regulated by KCA to offer drone training courses. Thank you.
There's an Arab Lagat asking, can you do mapping at IVLOS and BIVLOS?
Bwana Langat, thank you for your question. Currently, and I believe KCA will also be looking into this, is unfortunate that we are only allowed to fly VLOS. Those pilots who have been licensed by our Kenya Civil Aviation, okay, and those who have been trained by the UTOs that I have mentioned are only allowed to fly VLOS. However, with special request to the authority, Kenya Civil Aviation, it is possible to fly EVLOS, that is extending extended visual line of sight, whereby you'll have an observer at a specific place, and you are allowed now to fly beyond 500 meters to maybe a kilometer. For BVLOS, I think this one is still, there is no infrastructure for this. Remember, flying BVLOS means that you are not able to see the drone. It is beyond visual line of sight, and therefore you'll be interacting with manned aircraft. So unless the authority now, as they try to improve, come up with a system whereby they're able to track drones through transponders to also ensure that they are also visible to other people who are using the airspace, those two types of survey require specialized clearances. Thank you, Bwana Langat.
Okay, thank you. There's a young Thomas asking, younger Thomas is asking, are there restrictions getting the drones? I think you can just respond as though you had already touched on that earlier.
Thank you for that question. The restriction is, as maybe I had already said, the first restriction is you cannot fly in aerodromes unless cleared to do so. You cannot fly if you're not a remote or a licensed remote pilot. Yeah, you cannot fly over security. In areas where there are security restrictions, like near barracks, near police stations, or near even there are those places like State House. Yeah, there are places you cannot fly. I hope I have answered your question, Bwana Thomas.
Thank you, members and viewers, wherever you're watching this show from. Thank you for those one we started with. But before I leave, ladies and gentlemen, there's a comment here from Xavier Erastus Chege. I can just project it there. All right. He's saying, just please consider undertaking research to demonstrate the use of drones in georeferencing PIDs. That is a good comment. Thank you, Xavier. Maybe anything you can comment, Bwana Solomon, on that?
Challenge taken. Thank you, Bwana, our chairman, Erastus Chege. That is something that I'm going to delve into. Thank you for that challenge.
Okay, Arab Lagat is asking another question here, maybe. Is it necessary to have rated or stroke licensed observer when it comes to mapping, or only PIC is enough?
Well, Arab Lagat, thank you again for this question. We say that drones must, or rather the mission must be conducted by at least 2 persons. There must be the pilot in command, and there must be an observer all the time. Remember, you'll be flying this drone in the bush. Yeah, you can get bee struck. Yeah, you can get stung by a bee when you are having the controls. So, in that event, if you are stung and it is really too much, it means that you're not able even to continue with vigilance in as far as monitoring the movement of the drone is concerned. So, it is critical and almost mandatory to have an observer who should actually be a pilot in command in most cases, okay, or rather who should actually be a pilot, a trained pilot, because he must understand some of the things that are likely to happen in a mission scenario. Thank you.
That's another question from Boaz asking the range of a drone.
Well, I don't know whether it is the price or the range in as far as where it can fly and you still have controls. Let me answer both. Range, you can fly from 3 kilometers all the way to 100 kilometers, okay, depending with which type of drone you're flying. Range of drone, I don't know, maybe you can be a bit more specific, but an entry level survey grade drone goes for 1.5 million, entry level. Thank you.
Okay, lastly, there's a comment from Arab has come and is also saying that let's try using that one. Let's try using Measure Up in place of Pix 4D. Okay, I think perhaps I'm not quite sure with the have read that one, whether it's correct or not. But now, ladies and gentlemen, up to that point, I think we have really interacted so much, and I believe you have learned a thing or two that is going to be very useful, more especially when you're talking about drones with regards to surveying and mapping. Now, what do you think? You can just tell us. Let's keep the conversation going. Always, we are here every Friday from 2 p.m. Catch us live with a different topic. Also, again, if there is a point, a rather topic that you feel like we need to give it a bit of attention, kindly reach out. You can write to us. That is communication@isk.or.ke. Alternatively, you can even chat with us through the website, or even call in. That is on 0724 929737. So many means that you can reach us, and ensure that you reach out so that we can tackle a topic one after the other to ensure that you are well informed, so that you can make right decisions when it comes to making this rightful decision. So there's a topic there. Maybe I can just you've seen how those registration number for that drone there, and actually alluding the way we are supposed to paying close attention to the registration number of every drone or every flying device. Now, up to that point, ladies and gentlemen, really, I can see time is way gone, but maybe I can take it back to Solomon. If Solomon, you can, if someone really wants to continue this conversation, how can they reach you?
Thank you so much, Bwana Franklin. As I mentioned earlier, I said that Geoid Technologies is a solution provider. We are among the first companies to be approved to import drones, to import and sell drones. So I'll share my number. My number is 0726 884 224. You can reach us out if in case you want to make further inquiries on how you can acquire your own drone. We are also allowed to conduct commercial missions. That is, we are able to conduct a mission for you commercially, so we can fly drones, maybe in case we need to do a mission. And lastly, we also we are also keen on surveying through our sister company GeoSurvey, whereby we are not just people who are enthusiasts about drones. Yeah, we also have a sister company GeoSurvey, which is licensed by the board through our principal, Mr. John Kihagi. So we are able to conduct any survey mission in as far as drone mapping is concerned. So I think with that, I'll just show you a real photo of a remote controller. Yeah, that's a remote controller. I already shown you how a drone looks like. This is a survey grade drone. There is a receiver here. Okay, it's different from this other one. There is no receiver on top. Okay, survey grade drone, entry level, Phantom 4 TK, and you can visit our offices. We are located at Astra Petrol Station. You can come here. We have a chat. We interact. Yeah, we challenge ourselves. This is a new industry. It needs to grow. So I think with those few remarks, I want to thank you so much for listening at me, and thank you so much for also finding time to be part of this discussion. It is a disruptive technology, and change is here, and change starts with us. Adios. See you when you see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. Dear viewers, thank you. There are quite a number of questions I can see from the comment section there. Thank you, and I can only urge you to keep them coming. After this, we are going to now responding, and I believe Solomon from his end is log into the up to this point. Thank you so much for your continued support, dear members, viewers. Always, until next time when God allows us to meet, thank you so much. Stay blessed and always stay safe. Bye.